On the news, court sentences former lawmaker Farouk Lawan to jail for fraud. Nigeria delegation to dialogue with Twitter over suspension. And 2 dead, several vehicles burnt as tanker explodes on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Glad to have you join us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. A federal high court sitting in Abuja sentenced the former chairman of the House of Representatives ad hoc committee on petroleum subsidy, Farouk Lawan, to 12 years imprisonment. Lawan was accused of demanding $3 million from Femi Otedola to remove the businessman's company from the list of oil companies allegedly involved in the fuel subsidy fraud in 2012. In a judgment delivered by Justice Angela Ataluka on Tuesday, Lawan was found guilty on 3 charges bordering on corruptly asking for and obtaining a bribe from Otedola in order to exonerate Zenon Petroleum and Gas Limited from the list of companies in the fuel subsidy scam. For count 1 and 2, the court sentenced him to 7 years, while for count 3, he was sentenced to 5 years. However, the sentences are to run concurrently. The court also ordered that the defendant return the sum of $500,000 to the federal government. Let's now get reactions on this court ruling. Political affairs analyst Jide Ojo joins us via Skype from Abuja on News Now. Thank you very much for joining us. This is one of the high corruption cases in Nigeria that has been dragged on for so long. What do you make of the judgments coming now, and what does this spell for Nigeria's fight against corruption?
Thank you, Folasha. It's a very interesting one. Another one bites the dust.
It is indeed.
9 years after. It shows the snippets with which our judiciary works. Although it's not entirely the fault of the judiciary, from what I learned. The first judge who handled the case from 2013 or thereabout was promoted to Court of Appeal. The second one has to recuse herself because of the allegation by Farouk Lawan's legal team that she's biased. So this is the third judge, Justice Angela Ataluka, who was eventually able to deliver judgment on this. It's one of the very high-profile corruption cases that have been in the works for close to a decade, since 2012. And all is well that ends well. We do not know whether the Farouk Lawan's team will appeal the judgment, because he still has a right of appeal up to Supreme Court. But be that as it may, at least at the court of first instance, I think this is a well-deserved, well-researched judgment. The judge was able to prove that this is a corruption case. She was able to prove that Farouk Lawan was just not a political appointee, but a public officer, and that he has breached his oath of office as a lawmaker and as a public official. So I hope this will be a deterrent to those who are in the hallowed chamber of the National Assembly and also in public service, who may be nursing ambition of corruptly enriching themselves.
Now, Jide, are you seeing a situation whereby, just as the case of Ojus Okalu, are you seeing a situation where this case may take another turn around? Are you seeing that happening in this case?
Well, that's futuristic. I do not. The case of Ojus Okalu was on a technical ground. It was deemed that the judge who jailed Ojus Okalu should not have come from the Court of Appeal to deliver judgment in his case. And that was the basis on which that judgment was quashed. But it's still on appeal. We cannot say, the final words have been heard about Ojus Okalu's case. But be that as it may, like I said, the first judge that handled this case could not complete it because he or she was promoted to Court of Appeal. The second one was asked to recuse herself because of allegation of bias by the senior advocate Michael Zekume-led legal team of Farouk Lawan. So this is the judge, this is the third judge that have had this case. And like I said, what I see possibly happening is a lodging of appeal at the Court of Appeal to see whether they can overturn this judgment. But at least for the court of first instance, I think this is laudable. That at least we have had another of public officials being made the scapegoat for those who may be thinking that the war against corruption in Nigeria is dead. Don't forget,
Well,
Farouk
thank you very
Lawan.
much, Public Affairs Analyst Judy Ojo. Thank you so much for your contributions on News Now. Moving on, the ECOWAS court in Abuja has restricted the federal government from prosecuting anyone in the country using the suspended social media platform Twitter, pending the hearing of a suit filed by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP and 176 concerned Nigerians. The applicants, through their lawyer Femi Falano, had argued that the suspension of Twitter by the government amounts to repression of human rights and unlawful restriction of the rights to freedom of expression. The ECOWAS court has now restrained the federal government from intimidating, arresting or prosecuting Twitter or any other social media service provider, as well as media houses. It also adjourned until July 6, 2021 for the hearing of the substantive suit. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has directed a team led by Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, to dialogue with Twitter over the suspension of its microblogging site. And earlier, we spoke to legal practitioner Liberos Oshoma on how enforceable the ECOWAS court ruling is, considering the previous rulings by the court has not been obeyed.
I think the parties went to ECOWAS court because our courts were on strike, and that so there was no way to access justice in the country at that time. Considering the fact also, like you said, it's difficult for ECOWAS court to enforce its own judgment. It will be difficult to enforce this judgment when you have a government that hardly complies with his own the judgment of his own court, not to talk of an ECOWAS court. This is not the first time. You remember also at the point the ECOWAS court gave judgment against Ghana, the Ghanaian government, and that government was observed in breach. It was not complied with, and because ECOWAS has no standing police to carry out execution of his own judgment. So this judgment is just, for me, it's just what you call a judgment of the court, and we'll just hope and pray that countries will comply, with ECOWAS court judgment, especially when they are not enforceable. But be that as it may, even the Attorney General Malami had said that people who were still using Twitter were not going to be prosecuted because there was no legal foundation, no constitutional foundation for such statement. It is not an offense known to our laws. And so I don't think anybody would be prosecuted. And so we would say that the judgment is a surplusage.
Now, I would also like to get your reaction on the Federal High Court ruling on the Farouk Lawan case. Now, this must be a huge one for Nigeria, isn't it?
It is here that we celebrate because of the fact that the windmill of justice grind here slowly, and we hardly see, big fish, quote and unquote, thrown behind bars. And so when we hear of such judgment here, we say it's a huge one for the country. Really, most of these people, if we had a good judicial system, most of these people masquerading as leaders would ordinarily be behind bars. And so after how many years of dilly-dallying back and forth, this is just court of first instance. And so one would wonder what the Court of Appeal will say and what the Supreme Court will say in such matters. And mind you, these people have funds to pursue such matters up to the 8th court. So really, I'm not taken aback. It is good. It is what ought to be ordinarily, not something we should be jumping around. But the fact that we are where we are, yes, we celebrate it. We say more of this should come. People who are saddled with responsibilities, and once they compromise, we should see them, prosecuted and thrown behind bars.
Moving on, 3 weeks after President Buhari sent a confirmation request to the Red Chambers, the Senate has confirmed the appointment of Major General Farouk Yahaya as the Chief of Army Staff. His confirmation followed the consideration of a report by the Joint Committee of Defense and Army on Tuesday. Our correspondent Abisola Adebayo tells us more.
Following a successful screening exercise, the Aliyu Wamako-led Committee of Defense and Army has submitted its report in favor of Major General Farouk Yahaya as Chief of Army Staff.
The nomination is in line with Section 217 in bracket 2ABC of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and in accordance with the provisions of Section 8, Subsection 1 of the Armed Forces Act, Chapter 820, Law of the Observation 2004. 2, that the committee did not receive any petition on the nominee. 3, that the nominee has been cleared by the Department of State Security Service, DSS. 4, that the nominee has presented his code of conduct acknowledgement slip. 5, that the nominee possesses the required academic qualifications as well as wide-ranging experiences to be Chief of Army Staff of the opposite of this great country, Nigeria.
In their contributions, other senators say given the track record of the nominee in the Nigerian army, he is rightly equipped to tackle the issues of insurgency and terrorism confronting the country.
The decision by the committee, due to the nature of the appointment as part of our security apparatus, we decided to do the screening in a closed session after the preliminaries. And therefore, I want to appeal to the Senate to expeditiously approve this confirmation.
The issues and the problems that have bedeviled this country in the recent past is that of insurgents and terrorism. This gentleman, that was the position he was holding, which means that he knows a lot about how to handle issues that pertain to terrorism and insurgency. And as somebody who is badly affected, Mr. President, I stand here to strongly support the nomination and confirmation of this gentleman.
The President of the Senate, while commending the committee, also advocated support for the military in the fight against insurgency.
Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Major General Farouk Yahaya for appointment as Chief of Army Staff of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Farouk takes over from Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, who died in a plane crash in Kaduna on May 21, 2021. Abisola Adebayo, TV360, Lagos.
2 persons have died with 13 vehicles burnt after a petroleum tanker exploded at the proposed new car market of Remo in Ogun State. The tanker explosion, which was said to have happened at around 4 a.m. on Tuesday, raised vehicles parked by the roadside and those trapped in an ensuing gridlock along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Spokesperson of the Fire Service and Ogun State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Corps said a trailer bearing petroleum products fell on the road after colliding with another truck, and the explosion affected 7 other trucks and 6 other cars. Motorists have been advised to apply the alternative routes mapped out to ease traveling along the expressway. A recent research by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime has shown that at least 3 million Nigerians are struggling with drug abuse-related habits, with cannabis being the most abused substance in the country. With this rise in abuse of drugs, the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Buba Mawa, at an event in Abuja ahead of the 2021 World Drug Day, ruled out the legalization of cannabis in the country anytime soon. Details in this report.
The International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking is marked annually on June 26. Amid widespread calls for the legislation of cannabis in Nigeria to diversify the economy, the chairman of the NDLEA says doing so will amount to financial gains at the expense of Nigerian lives.
When you plant cannabis, yes, you sell it and get billions, but the issue is between lives and money. Which one will you choose? 10.6 million Nigerians use cannabis. And if you looked at the World Cannabis Report 2019, it's not 10.6 there, it's actually 20 million Nigerians, the highest country using these drugs. and we've always known that it has mind-altering substances.
The UN also projects that the steady rise in abuse of drugs in Nigeria may become worse in coming years if urgent steps are not taken to address the situation.
The drug use prevalence in Nigeria is 3 times as high as the global average. That's the first thing. The second thing is, because of a lot of factors, the general trends, the youth bulge, the economic and social conditions that many people live in, we are estimating that the drug use is going to be growing faster in West Africa than in any other region of the world. We estimate actually that by 2030, the overall drug use in Africa is going to have increased by 40%.
Maro assured that the agency will continue to wage war against illicit drugs nationwide.
Go to Lagos State. The drug use prevalence is 33% from that survey. Most of that is from cannabis. And the Southwest itself. Ondo State is the greatest grower of this substance. And the NDLEA will continue to burn any farm that we find and arrest the perpetrators of cannabis. It is dangerous, it is bad for our health. We will not agree as far as we are concerned.
Since he assumed office in January 2021, the NDLEA chairman has made several suggestions on how to tackle drug menace in the country. One is for politicians to be subjected to drug testing before they are allowed to contest for elective positions, and for students as well as intending couples to undergo drug tests. Simisola Adigun, TV360 News.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, 3 killed in Ethiopian polling units as ballot counting continues. Now let's take a recap of some of our top stories. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has sentenced the former chairman of the House of Representatives at a committee on petroleum subsidy, Farouk Lawan, to 12 years imprisonment over fraud cases. Lawan was found guilty on 3 charges. For count 1 and 2, the court sentenced him to 7 years, while for count 3, he was sentenced to 5 years. The sentences are to run concurrently. We also told you that 2 persons have died with 13 vehicles burnt after a petroleum tank exploded at a proposed new car market, Ogere Remo, in Ogun State. Spokesperson of the Fire Service in Ogun State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Corps said a trailer bearing petroleum products fell on the road after colliding with another truck, and the explosion affected 7 other trucks and 6 other cars. In case you missed any of our news bulletin, or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are at TV360 Online. After Sunday's unusual record of 0 COVID-19 infections and deaths, Nigeria on Monday reported 86 new infections, bringing the nation's case tally to 167,292. The new cases were reported from 3 states. Lagos leads with 52 infections, followed by Ondo and Adamawa with 31 and 3 cases respectively. Nigeria's death tally also saw a rise as 1 new death was reported, summing up the casualty tally to 2,118. Meanwhile, a total of 163,797 cases have been discharged across 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Zambian health authorities have expressed concern over rising coronavirus-related deaths as the country continues to battle a 3rd wave of the infection. Zambia's Health Permanent Secretary Kennedy Malama on Monday noted a reduced capacity in mortuaries, saying the number of daily COVID-19 fatalities in the country was unprecedented. He described a third wave of COVID in the country as devastating, with 407 deaths in just 3 weeks of the third wave. Zambia has so far recorded 129,033 cases of coronavirus and 1,691 related deaths. We take a break here and return with more stories in business. Just stay with us. Well, up next is Business Story and Stock Market Review with Mary Kanu.
Thank you very much for that, Shade. And in business, if everything goes according to plan, Nigeria will join other apex banks across the globe to establish its own central bank digital currency. However, the aim to centralize and control the operations of digital currency in Nigeria has been met with mixed reactions from industry experts. Our correspondent in this report takes a look at how CBN's digital currency might change the face of Nigeria's digital system.
In its quest to evolve with emerging trends and to strengthen the nation's economy, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it will introduce a digital currency system in the nearest future.
See, we had carried out our own investigation, and we found out that a substantial percentage of what our people are getting involved in cryptocurrency, that it is not the best. That is not what a responsible central bank will support. I've heard about digital currency. We are working on it. We have set up our committee on CBN, and I can assure everybody that digital currency will come to life even in Nigeria.
Although the Apex Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, did not give details of the modalities of the digital currency system, he noted that a steering committee had been established to investigate the practicalities of issuing the country's own sovereign digital currency. Questioning the impacts of digital currency on the economy, experts says Nigeria must first invest in its technology solutions in order to close loopholes that could compromise the initiative.
A lot of banks are already struggling to onboard digital. The CBN is struggling to still hit its cashless economy mandate. There is a huge market that is financially excluded, all right, in terms of access to banking and financial services. So those are core things that still needs to happen for a digital currency economy to thrive. All right, so we are leaving those things and we're going to develop more products and putting more we are stacking up more problems, all right, on a very faulty foundation. The only way digital currencies can thrive is when you have effective, efficient, and intelligent monetary framework or monetary institutions.
However, some industry experts have expressed optimism in the policy to help actualize the nation's cashless initiative and integrate Nigerians into digital transactions.
It's also going to enhance payments. Sometimes Nigerians want to make payments to foreign countries for different purposes. It's always difficult to even know which bank can do certain transfers and what amount they can do and things like that. But of course, if you're having a digital currency, you can always transfer your money and you know where it is going to, so it's a good thing that is happening.
The rush to create a central bank digital currency stems from the need to control digital currency transactions. And while many governments have either banned or limited the use of crypto trading, the vulnerability of online transactions still exists on all platforms.
We'll take a break here and return with a review of the stock market. Stay with us. The equities market can sometimes come up with surprises at trading, and even a few minutes before the close of trading, the all-share index was in the green, but the bearish surfaced and changed the color of the day. And so in a continuous run from the previous day's trading, the market capitalization dropped past the 20 trillion mark, shedding 364 billion naira. Expectedly, the all-share index dropped to 1.81%. Now, the drop in the market can be attributed to losses from the ICT sector, as Airtel Africa lost about 10% of its shares, and Learn Africa from the services sector decreased by 6%. It was also a negative market breadth with 23 losers against 18 gainers, indicating that investors did a lot of profit taking. Now, at the close of trading, 218 million volume of shares were traded in 3,524 deals. Meanwhile, with 78 kobo gains, Fidsen and Red Starex were the top gainers. Now, on the foreign scene, the US, UK and Asian stocks are currently trading in the greens as investors push the financial and energy sector, which is set for economic recovery. As the FTSE is currently trading at 0.39%, Dow Jones is trading at 0.078%, while Asian stock Nikkei is trading at 3.12%. Well, that's all on today's review of the stock market. Over to Folashade for the rest of the news.
Well, thank you very much, Miri. Moving on now to the foreign scene. At least 3 people have been killed after an attack on a polling station 50 kilometers from the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa. An electoral board official told newsmen that the people who died in Monday's morning attack were a police officer, a militia member, and a local official. Armed men opened fire on people at the polling station in Amber Town, where the main opposition parties called for a boycott of the election. The attackers have reportedly said the election was a sham and they would disrupt the voting process. Well, up next is Entertainment Report.
After a fight with Tolani Badge at the reunion, Nigerian singer and Big Brother Niger lockdown season housemate V has announced the title of her debut album. V made the announcement via her social media handle. She wrote "Young and Reckless out soon," a all-beautiful project. Before her Baby Niger appearance, she released singles like Finning in 2017, Ecstasy in 2017, and On in 2019. After the show, she has dropped one single titled Show. Walt Disney Animation Studios has announced details on Iwaju series, its first of its kind collaboration with African comic book entertainment company Kugali. Disney, in a statement released at the ongoing International Animation Film Festival, confirmed that production has commenced with talents working remotely from Nigeria, Uganda, London, Montreal, and Burbank. Set in futuristic Lagos, Kugali co-founder Tolu Olowofoyeku noted the team's choice of the commercial city, highlighting how its unique and distinct feel provided an interesting base for the story. Kugali is founded by 3 Nigerian comic artists, Tolu Olowofoyeku, Ziki Nelson, and Ahmed Ibrahim. And that is all that's we have for you in the entertainment segment of News Now.
Away from entertainment now to sports, newly promoted Premier League side Watford has announced the signing of Nigerian Emmanuel Dennis from Belgian top flight side Club Brugge. Due to his failure to tie down a regular place with Club Brugge, he was loaned to FC Cologne for the 2020-2021 campaign. The Super Eagles striker will continue his professional career with the English Elite Division outfit for an undisclosed fee. The 23-year-old scored 27 goals in just over 90 club appearances for Brugge and has featured in both the UEFA Champions League and UEFA Europa League. But that's it in our news bulletin. Thank you for watching. I am Folashade Ogurinde.